When I read about this stuff, I don't turn on some lights. But you know, that's probably what, 7 years old, 8 years old. House station. When they built it.
Throughout this whole situation. Well, they did, yes. That's what I thought.
I don't know.
I drew came around.
Yeah.
Is that right? I just saw the depth of it going up.
I mean, it ran down the road.
Well, I mean, you had a lot of work.
What's that?
You had a lot of work.
They was like,
Oh, yeah.
Right across here.
She said.
Did he clean the lagoons out of it? Swirls back? I mean, that'd be nice. Yeah. Feed all the little fishies on the way down the road.
I'll be over there this week.
Here's the fish egg.
Most of the week. Thursday, we'll have, or what? That's the next meeting.
There's only one way to get the mud out of it.
Oh, sure enough. What's your goal for your birthday?
Okay, folks, it is 7 p.m. on Monday evening, May 19th, 2025. This meeting has been rescheduled from our original meeting, which was for Tuesday, May 13th at 7 p.m. And of course, we all know what was going on in the community at that time. So with that in mind, please rise for the flag ceremony and the prayer. Olivia's not here. You want to open? Thank you, Mr. Whistler. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow our heads. Your Heavenly Father, Lord, watch over this council as they make decisions for this community, and may they make the right decisions, and Lord, may they keep their citizens in mind. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mark. Patty, the roll call, please.
Mr. Ackerman.
Here.
Mr. Bear.
Here.
Mr. Baker.
Here.
Mrs. Nagy. Here. Mr. Irwin.
Here.
Mrs. Canarium is absent. Mr. Smith.
Here.
Solicitor Valentine. Junior Council Member Olivia Baker is absent. There's no police presence. Brian Miller.
Here.
Okay, thank you, Patty.
Mr. President, if I could have just 1 minute before we start.
Go ahead. Yes, Ron, absolutely.
I want to thank Karen for what she done during this flood. I want to thank the mayor for getting back from Pittsburgh so quick, taking charge, getting the police out. Brian and JR for getting the gates closed, and for Terry for all that he's done. So thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Very nice. You actually led into what I was going to start here. Shane and I, Mayor Shane, had a discussion. So before we get into the business of the meeting, we're going to let Mayor Shane give a report from the very beginning. We're going to try to get as much information out. We have Bailey here from WJAC. She'd like as much information as we can glean. Brian, you're going to be able to give us a lot of information as far as the logistics that went on today with the dumpsters. So then any council member who wants to speak up can do so. We'll take questions from the audience on this horrible flood that hit last week. So, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, as the president was saying, I mean, by now everybody knows we got hit with a lot of water in a short amount of time. There was a lot of damage to homes, some businesses, some missing animals. Luckily, we didn't have any severe injuries take place. People heeded the warnings. There was, I think, a dozen car rescues that people would drive through the high water. But, you know, the Meyersdale Volunteer Fire Department, this community would not be able to survive without our fire department.
Right.
You know, the job that they did, I think they even burned up one of their engines, pumping water. You know, the police department did an awesome job. Our borough workers did an awesome job. As Councilman Ackerman spoke earlier, you know, Karen Nagy, she really grabbed things and went with it and got things lined up and organized. Kevin Broadwater, thanks to Kevin, did a lot of work also. You know, we had the American Red Cross here tremendous help. Salvation Army, that was a big help with the Salvation Army was here. FEMA, Kevin directed them, took them around. I think Karen was involved in that as well. County commissioners, Carl Metzger, just so much thanks. And even the people itself, I mean, we didn't have any looting or trying to get in properties or any. We had just the opposite. We had neighbors helping neighbors, which was great to see. So I just want to say thanks to all involved.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kevin Broadwater, Emergency Management Coordinator. Do you have anything you'd like to give on your decision, your thing as far as how the flood went?
Well, I mean, the one thing is the resilience of the community. It's not our first flood. So we did have a lot of people in place to work the flood control. We did not have any loss of life. We had a lot of, around Shane said about the rescues. But what I saw was afterwards is the community just wrapping their arms around each other and helping each other out. The amount of volunteers that offered help, the county's volunteer organizations after disaster coming help, the water, the food, the cleanup kits. So the community and the surrounding communities, I think it was just a valiant effort on their part to come to our community and help.
Anything else? Thank you. Karen, will go to you, and then Terry, and then Brian can give a lot of information what went on the last couple of days. Karen, go ahead, please.
Okay. So we got a note today from Pamela Tokarikas, our county commissioner, offering more support. They are willing to give us grant writing services at no cost through the county. They're talking about things like if we want to look at accessibility at this building, longer term infrastructure or flood control issues, council will be receiving a letter from the commissioners if we haven't yet. And as most of you know, we have the Community Foundation for the Alleghenies has provided a link. Patty, if we can put that up on the website and Facebook, maybe tomorrow I can get that to you. The other people, I talked to Mike Miller for just a minute this afternoon. If anybody feels led in this area to make a donation, the firemen did, like Shane said, they dropped an engine on one of the last visits they made for storm cleanup. So I know they would appreciate any donations. I would like to see us, like right now, the county is saying, where do you want to put some money? I really think we should get a meeting together with the township, with the borough. The director at PEMA was here on Friday, and I got a chance to talk to him for a while. He said, come to us. Joel knows how to get in touch with his people. He would make sure we got the Army Corps here, DEP here. I think we should take a holistic approach. It used to be considered a 100-year flood plan. With the changes in the weather patterns, it could be a 20-year. Like in our lifetimes, we could see something like this again. So they would like us to reach out and, we would have to look at, Plum Bottom. We would have to meet with the MMA to see where they're going to put their new sewer plant and just take everything into account with all the right people in the meeting, put all our heads together. The other thing I would like to look into is we talked about it last year a little bit and we didn't do anything with our storm systems in this town. Some streets have storms, some don't. And I don't think, Brian, we have storm mapping. So we can go after like LSA money and other things to map the storm system around town, then evaluate its effectiveness. I know down on 2nd Street, you've said like some things are capped off. We could get a handle on that, and then we could do a cleaning project. Like at the MMA for our sewer lines, we, basically rotor-rootered them. We blew them out. We figured out where our problem points were to address longer term. I think we could do something similar to that on the storm side. So those are two things I think we might want to go after some grant money. The next step in the recovery process that Kevin's working hard on, I've been asked to be the liaison for, is a MARC program, which is a multi-agency resource center. It's going to be set up at the fire hall, potentially later this week or early next. Because we're in the center between Garrett, Meyersdale, and Salisbury, it's going to be in Meyersdale. So Pima was here. Kevin went around with them today, and there were even some representatives here from Florida, I was told.
Yeah,
If that was correct information.
From the SBA. To get the funding in the future to get the funding, there has to be so many houses affected to get a small business administration loans, and we had to meet a certain mark, and that was
The 25.
today. Yeah.
So they were in town and met with our citizens, and so I think that's all I have on the flood control.
Terry?
Today, me and Brian, we met with a representative from DEP, and we toured the flood control to see if there was any damage, and everything looks to be in good shape. It performed as it should have. So he said if we notice any damage in the next few days, to let him know so we can apply for assistance on getting that fixed. There is a big tree and a bunch of brush down at the North Street Bridge. We're gonna have to, I think that's more than what our backhoe can handle, so we might have to look at subbing that out. He said if we don't need to get in the stream, we won't have to apply for a permit, but if we have to get in the stream, we would, which he would sort of fast track that. He don't think that would be, too much of a delay. He looked at the debris basin, and he said that should be cleaned out because we got a significant amount of debris. He said sooner than later, we should take a look at that. And he did say with the grant that Karen had worked for, we could possibly transfer some of that money to use to clean for the debris. He would write us a note, a letter, but there's no guarantees on that. That's one angle that we could go.
This is the upper holding
That
pole.
we cleaned out a few years ago, yes.
Yeah.
If we wanted to transfer the money from riprap up to there, we could. And the last thing, he said, the grant that we had got for the Army Corps of Engineers, he said they're gonna come in and reevaluate the situation because it's probably gonna be a bigger project than what they determined. So, they'll let us know whenever that's gonna get down. But other than that, everything went well.
Sounds good. By the way, Wednesday at 2 o'clock, May 21st, Kevin Yoder, and hopefully you'll be available, and anybody would like to join us, we're going to go down to the flood control and just realize and try to see where the riprap needs to be replaced. Of course, the erosion, that's pretty easy to see, but Terry and I had some questions. Maybe they were answered today, I don't know. But we thought we'd go down, and Kevin Yoder, our engineer. So if anybody's interested, we're just gonna, I guess, meet here and go down Wednesday, the 21st at 2 o'clock. Brian, you were really busy.
Been pretty eventful the last couple of days. We got dumpsters. The county commissioners had given us 2, Harbaugh had given us 2. They were filled immediately. I was down 3 times Saturday, twice Sunday, mashing them down with the backhoe. It was just unbelievable the amount of people that were bringing the stuff. It was crazy, but the dumpsters were emptied quickly. They brought them back and they're over a quarter of the way full again. So that was a busy day. We had the prisoners actually come in today. They helped with a lot of cleanup. They did very well. They're coming back tomorrow to help finish. So we got a lot accomplished with the cleanup. Flood control, like Terry said, it worked as it should. We got the gates closed Tuesday afternoon. Got soaked while we were doing it, but we got them closed. Other than that, it's just been really busy couple of days.
So we got 3 or 4 empty dumpsters came in
We got
today.
4, all 4 of them were emptied and they were
Okay.
brought back. and they're starting to fill up again.
So you're gonna monitor this, and we'll have to decide if the county will help us out with another. If not, we'll just, the borough will pay for it ourselves. We'll have to, for our citizens.
They're getting filled quick. There's a lot of people that were very thankful for those dumpsters.
So the workers from the prison were here, and they picked up electronics and old furniture, Salter, and there were 4 streets. It was Large Street.
Large Street, Second Street, Cuba Street, and the lower end of Broadway.
And there was a lot of stuff. How many times did you fill your truck?
7 times.
And it all went into the dumpster. So we're doing what we can, as much as we can do to help our residents here with this flooded basements and damages and things like that. So anything else, Brian?
No.
Okay.
Just as I said, the people were very thankful for those dumpsters. They were very, very appreciative.
Anything, Clarence?
No.
Tom? Ron? I really don't have anything else. Bailey, do you have any questions you'd like to ask? Hold on. Do you have any questions that you would like to ask that we didn't answer? You okay with?
No, I think you guys did a good job covering everything.
Okay, Karen.
We missed one thing. I would like to make the request, if council approves, to release the other $5,000 to the firemen, like this week, that we had agreed to give them the $10,000 in interest. To go ahead and give them the second payment since they've had so many expenses.
We had decided we wanted to split the $10,000, and I thought April or May or even June, we were going to release the second half once our spring money started to come in. So I think there'd be more than enough at this point, Patty. I don't know if we need a motion. We could just release the money because we already had a motion back whenever we were going to give them $10,000 and split it in 2 payments. So if you feel more comfortable, you want a motion? Okay, give us a motion, Clarence and Tom, second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. So Patty, you can write out the check tomorrow and I'll sign it. We'll get it to our wonderful firemen. Any questions from the audience on anything so far that's taken place? We want to be as open and as transparent as what we can on this floods. And then we're going to go continue with the meeting here, but this is just flood control related now. Yes?
Question on the electronics disposal. They said they put it in the dumpsters. I thought we weren't supposed to put those things in there, so I didn't take mine down. Is it okay to put that kind of stuff in the dumpster?
We were putting them in.
People were putting them in.
All right, well, I didn't, because I thought the word was not to do that. I've got washer
Yeah,
and
there
dryer and
were.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we had another truck come around from Stoystown to pick up appliances and electronics. I don't think TVs are supposed to go in dumpsters.
There wasn't any appliances put in there, but.
Like TVs?
There was busted up TVs put in there. I mean, it was just an array of stuff that was put in those dumpsters, and Hardball, they were, you know.
He brings up a good point now regarding I know our workers from the county are coming back tomorrow. Are you going to revisit those 4 streets again? Do the residents know that they can continue to put more items out?
Yeah, we told most of them that if you have more, we'll be back tomorrow. So they know that.
So you can maybe take them down and put it along one of those streets, Large Street or tonight or early tomorrow, because we're going to go collect everything again tomorrow.
They're just gonna put them in the dumpsters anyway, so I can take them to the dumpster. You know, I'd have taken them today, I just left there.
Maybe it would be, let's do
Somebody
this.
should call Hardball.
I was gonna say, maybe it would be best if any electronics were set to the side, down there beside the dumpsters.
And then we can
And
decide
then
what we want to
figure
do
out from there.
Thank you.
Marianne?
Just an FYI, I just got rid of a microwave, and there's a place in Shanksville every Thursday from 12 to 4. I found it, and I can't even remember the name, but I'm sure I could find it for you if you were interested. And they take all kinds of electronics. You just drive up, they come out, take it, and it's so, but I'm not sure the name, but they might be interested.
Okay, one more question and then we'll probably move on with our meeting. Yes, sir.
I have 2.
Well, come up here to the, would you,
Is it different in emergency for the electronics and these other things? Is it different during an emergency situation?
Typically, with solid waste, it is different if it is an emergency and declared an emergency, yes.
So it was it declared an emergency?
Yeah,
So
I did
there's,
the
there's probably not a problem with the electronics going in the dumpster. The second question I have is the amount of rain that we got so fast and the way it ran down through town and flooded everything, the infrastructure, the bridges. I know one was wiped out, a small one in Boynton, but what are our bridges like in Meyersdale? Are they safe? Is there any damage to them? Are we testing them? Or are we doing anything to find out if there are any issues with our bridges? Because we still have one out down here that a truck ran into that has never been replaced. So that's my question.
I can speak to that if you wish.
and then I will. Go ahead, Karen. I was just gonna say, and then Karen can retort also. In Meyersdale itself, I've seen the flood control up much higher than what it had been this time. Brian went and there's certain gates that we have to close, and there's one gate down at the bottom near the fairgrounds that has to be left open. So I think some of the bridges in town are state bridges. The only bridge that I noticed that maybe could have had some damage was the old North Street Bridge in, right down on, well, Plum Bottom, North Street. But, I mean, I can't imagine there'd have been any damage to the Beakley Street Bridge, the Walnut Street Bridge, the Salisbury Street Bridge. We've had instances where our flood control now, don't misunderstand me, it was much worse down in Summit Township below the Broadway Street Bridge. The Broadway Bridge was tested by the state, and that's been opened back up. But I have no concerns about any bridges in Meyersdale that are currently open.
Okay, I mean, it could be.
Do you have a specific concern, like
No,
a
no, I'm just
specific
asking
bridge?
because, to get anywhere in Meyersdale, you gotta cross a bridge of some sort to get, you know what I mean? So I'm just concerned that there's some damage, that maybe a big tree that's flowed down the river, hit one of them center beams and maybe knocked it off a little bit or cracked it a little bit. I'm not saying there's a specific bridge, but there could be some concern out there. Are we doing anything to check the bridges to make sure that there's no damage?
Most all the bridges, you ask Kevin, they were all checked. FEMA was in.
So post a flood, just like today, DEP comes and walks the flood control to inspect the flood control. That's required in the emergency operation plan, and that's automatically done by them. As far as the bridges, the state bridges were inspected, and that's why they were closed for a while, so to allow for those
Okay.
inspections.
Good, we're good, thanks.
Thank you for the question. Karen, you wanted to retort.
So like they said, Joel sent me a picture this morning. It does look like the North Street Bridge may be bowed. We're not sure yet. There is talk, the county commissioners are pushing really hard for something to be done with that bridge, whether it becomes open to car traffic again with a new bridge, or I think some people would like to see it just be, like Brian was here and talked about the fiberglass ones for ATVs, for Amish buggy traffic to get them off 219 and for people to walk. And in an emergency like this, that there's a way in and a way out, because some people had no way out for a matter of hours. Terry knows that more than I do, but.
Okay, let's try to move the meeting on here a little bit. Is there anything else that's really important someone wants to ask? I think we've kind of covered the situation. We okay to move on then? We have public comment coming. We have a couple of guests here, so we'll move on then. The minutes. We had two meetings since we met here last. Our regular meeting was on April the 8th, and we had a special meeting, which basically was just executive session. We were kind of got mixed up with our engineer, so he's here tonight to discuss that. But I read through the minutes. Do we have a motion we could approve them? Are there any corrections or additions?
Make a motion, we approve it.
And I'll second.
Okay, Ron and Tom, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, finances, Terry?
In the general fund tonight, we have a balance of $153,813.74, and we have bills that need paid for $6,356.15. I'll make the motion with the bills.
Thank you, Terry, and a second. Okay, Clarence seconded it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. And we have on here the interest rates, Somerset Trust Market versus CD. Do we have any information on that?
I sent you guys out an email on April the 10th. Katie Billy at Somerset Trust said that they could get a little bit higher interest rate if you wanted to go for a 7-month CD at 4%. That was a month ago, so it could be down by now. I don't know.
And what would this be?
The current rate for the money market is 3.35. But if you put it into a CD, it would be 4%.
Now, that would be a municipal CD, so it would have a little bit more liquidity, right?
She said that if the funds were ever needed before the maturity date, they could get them out, waive the fees. But
And this would stay in Somerset Trust, we would just switch to get the higher. It should be a simple thing to switch, not,
I don't know, I think it would be.
and go 7 months. What if you go a year?
I don't know if you want to go a whole year, you may.
7 months would be better.
You don't know what you're gonna get into paying for this flood stuff.
Well, do we want to move it for about 0.6%? Whatever council wants to do. I'm kind of ambivalent. Okay, let's ask for a motion to go ahead and transfer this from the money market to the CD. And if there is no motion, we'll just move on with the next item. Is there a motion? Going once. Last chance saloon. Stays the same. Anything else with the finances? Okay, now we'll go to guests, and first off, Larry D. Phillip. Thank you very much. You can come up here to the podium if you would. And we just asked you to come over. We wanted to do a little talking here about what exactly council was expecting, and I'll give you my thoughts here, and then we can have other council members. But we were definitely interested in handicap accessibility, an evaluation of our both ramps out at the gym and the one at the side of the building, and then these restrooms. The ladies' restroom, possibly having that, a ladies' restroom and a family restroom, and then the men's restroom. Like I told you before the meeting, and this certainly can be discussed, I do not believe we have a majority that would be interested in converting the room down here where the MMA was into a restroom. So we have to, I think, try to see what you can come up with, deal with our men's restroom and with the ladies' restroom, which is pretty good size. Tom, did you want to retort anything? You had done some measurements and things like that.
Yeah, we just need what they require. We have different, you gotta have this, you gotta have that. We just need to know exactly what we do need.
Well,
Because there's plenty of restrooms that aren't.
it's hard at this stage to tell you what you need, because what you need is not only based on, ADA compliance, but also on your occupant load, and which then determines the amount of facilities you are required to have, not only ADA compliant, but for each gender. So the first thing, like we had said before when we were here, we would like to evaluate the building, and we would come in here and prepare as-built drawings of it that would show all the rooms, their actual dimensions. And then you would be able to take a look at those and evaluate those spaces and see if they could be rearranged, expanded, maybe pulling out a wall somewhere that or maybe in the ladies' restroom, maybe it could be made smaller and made into the family type separate from the actual female restroom. But all those things are kind of hard to evaluate with no drawings of the building and no, you can't just walk in here and say, well, that's not going to work. I mean, these old buildings are unique because these doorways, the way they were built back in, they were recessed in, so when the doors swung open, it didn't go into the hallway and people didn't run into it. But they also didn't leave any space at the latch, which means if someone in a wheelchair can't approach that door and open it because it can't reach the knob. So it doesn't do any good to make a room handicap inside ADA compliant if the entrance to get into that room is not ADA compliant. So there's all these different things that all play upon each other, and you have to look at the whole thing and see what can be done to make the entire area and an access way to it complete from outside into the building, through the building to the facilities, and then from those facilities also to the areas where these people are going to be presented with, a game or a community event of some manner that they want to attend. They have to be able to get to those things as well. So without having any accurate drawings of the building and knowing the different elevations of like your entrances and how far you have to ramp them down and all the different components, it's very hard to just come up with an individual thing. Now you don't have to do an entire building all one time to make the entire building ADA compliant. You can do this in phases and pieces in things that are most needed. And you also do have some leniency based on the fact that it's an existing building. And, so there are certain things that are different than a new construction to a point. So if you get to a certain level of renovation, then you're going to be required to go full-blown ADA compliant. You're not going to have those advantages. So, but ultimately, my opinion is the first thing you need to have is you need to have a set of drawings to see what your building actually is. And you can lay it out and you can look at it and you can say, okay, this space is big enough to do this. This space isn't. Do we need this? Do we need that? Do we need this wall? Can this wall be moved? Can this wall, can this door be expanded? What are your wants? What are your needs? And what makes the most sense? Not only money wise, but
So
for the
those
layout.
drawings you're talking about, those would be like preliminary drawings and would be still included in the $5,700? Because you have in here that the exclusions would be when we get more detailed information, then that would be more money, obviously. But what drawings exactly were you referring to as part of the original price of $5,700?
Well, my proposal's over there. If I can go get it, I can look at it and I can speak intelligently. I don't want to say something to be wrong. Yeah, so we had proposed to do an initial walkthrough, which would evaluate, would bring to light the things that pop out at you and are going to be in violation. And then field measuring and preparation of as-built existing condition drawings. So that means that price would include a set of drawings that would show the building layout as it is right now, as it exists. And then you would then do a thorough review of those drawings against the codes to determine where all your violations are, as far as what is not ADA compliant, what is not code compliant, not necessarily ADA, but just general code in general. And, and then obviously we would attend a meeting to explain everything that we find. Now, yeah, this says it does not include the drawings necessary to illustrate required alterations. So that means anything that we decide to do to better the building, that would be an additional proposal down the road. This would just be a initial set of drawings to get you an existing as-built conditions set of drawings of your building, so that everything else then could be determined based on those and what your needs are and what the code's requirements are.
Initially, with those drawings, would you be able to give us a drawing of the ramps and an opinion if the ramps as they are
Yes,
now
the-
are
the
satisfactory?
The existing ramps would be included in the as-built
Right.
conditions drawing.
Because I think the main thing at this point, this exit here, we're concerned about, that the ramp would be okay. I think Karen would like to see a push button door that, or make it easier for individuals in wheelchairs or whatever to get in. And then the restrooms, but I know we did do some things with the restroom. Tom had done some measurements, and as far as the heights off of the floor, everything's compliant except one thing. But let's ask some questions and then decide if council wants to move on with this. I probably think we should do it. But we just wanted to meet you, everybody, because they may have more, I had those questions, which I just gave you. But let's go around the table here. If any council members have any questions they'd like to ask.
While you're thinking of questions, I would add that I would recommend you do it because if you're going to apply for grant money in the future, the more information that you have to provide, the better chances of getting money.
And we need this information to apply for the CDBG grant money that Steve Spokart's willing to apply for us.
And some of your grants may even require that the building be ADA compliant to get them. And other ones will go towards doing that, giving you the money to do that.
Are you able to help us with the grants as if we go further? Do you have a division that takes care of that or could help us?
We can do that to some point. Generally, we get involved in it after the grants are applied for. We'll administer them or do all the paperwork as far as meeting the requirements and the payrolls and everything that are required for public bidding and all those things. At this point, we don't usually get too involved in actually writing the grants or getting them. I'm not saying that we couldn't do that, but there are actual companies out there that do that and are very good at it. Probably.
But you could recommend them possibly.
Absolutely.
Specific.
We're working with some on several projects now, yeah.
And what type of a time frame are we looking at? Say we approve this tonight, I think we should. Then, like, will this be next month? Are we looking at July or August? You'll come back over here and give us, and explain, just like we did tonight. We'll put you on the agenda as a guest and you can go over some of the things that you find out. How much time will you require to do this?
Well, if you approve this tonight, we would probably, and Roy, I brought Roy Kent with me because Roy does a lot of my work as far as, he'd be the one over here doing all the measuring and running through the building and doing all that. So I don't like to put a timeline on him he doesn't approve of. So generally, I would think that 2-3 weeks, you'd probably be able to have a set of as-built drawings.
That's reasonable.
And then we would want to review them against the code for maybe another week, to make sure we look through everything and we can not only figure out what the violations or the code deficiencies are, but options to improve on them or, resolve them. And then, we would come back immediately after that, the next meeting available whenever you, which, might not be next month's meeting, but it might be the following. But there is a slim chance that it could be next month's meeting if we get it.
Okay, I had asked once for any comments or questions and it was silent. So I'm assuming no one has any objection to moving forward with this.
And one other thing with questions, I know right now everything's it's like new to you and fresh, but you really don't know what to ask is probably one of the biggest problems. As you get the drawings together and you start seeing things, those questions will come to light. You'll see things and say, oh, okay, I see now, how do we do this or what, so the fact that you don't have any questions right now doesn't surprise me at all. So.
Could we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
When you were over here and we did meet at the other end of the hallway, if we wanted to use a small portion of the room down there, are we talking probably a 10 by 10 area of it? Or, I mean, it's not a substantial area if
It's not
that's all
for-
we have
for a
left.
Family restroom is generally a private room that
Yeah.
has, to go in and you lock the door behind you, so there's no necessity for stalls and things of that
Correct.
nature. There's usually a toilet and there's a sink and so yes, it's a small area like that, and I'm not even thinking it would be 10 by 10, really. Probably, yeah, that would be large enough, but it could possibly be a hair smaller. The thing you gotta remember too is the codes are continuously evolving, and the spaces required for ADA compliance get bigger and bigger and bigger, because it used to be to turn a wheelchair, and then it went to turn a motorized chair, and now it's getting to turn these bigger, more like scooter type chairs. And I'm always joking to the guys that next are gonna be pulling trailers. And, you know, they just keep getting bigger. The circle goes from 60 inches to 67, and I think in the next code, it's going up even higher. And I think that the next code is going to probably be adopted close to July or August of this year. So they're gonna be bumping up to, we're using 18 now and 21 for the ADA compliance, and they're going to be bumping everything up to 21 and possibly pushing the ADA requirements up to the next code that's already out there. So waiting is always an option, but it's always the more expensive option, because things will keep getting bigger and more requirements. So.
Yeah, I'll second Clarence's motion.
Okay, hold on. We do have a motion and a second. Now, question, other discussions?
Is that adopted by the Department of Labor Industry or?
No, every municipality chooses, or whoever, however that works, they choose which code they're going to enforce. And then I'm not 100% certain on the process of it and why they do it like so far behind. The code's redone every 3 years, I think it is, but we're never on the current code. It's always, and then once you do switch, you have a grace period of so many months where they'll accept the plans still on the other code, up to a certain deadline.
Thank you.
To go back to the MMA room, which Karen had just asked about, we would be interested if we do have to use that for a family restroom, like what would the smallest we could get away with? How much room would Patty have to be able to extend her office and expand? So these are things that, but we can't say too much because you haven't done any preliminary work yet.
Right.
So,
From our initial look down there, like Karen said, that's a pretty large room, and there's already a employee restroom there. And if you put the other one right beside it there, it really doesn't appear to take a big space out of that room. But again, once you have drawings to look at, you could see that, and everybody could then visualize it a little better.
well, I would say, go ahead, Tom.
You looked at the ladies' restroom here, how big it is?
Yes. Yeah, we don't think there'd be any issue with that
Making
restroom,
that
making it ADA compliant.
Make it family restroom.
We did not look at that option.
Okay, make it,
That
we
was
can
new
change
to
doors, put a
see
lock
me.
on it.
Yeah, but the men's room over there is nowhere near as large as
No,
this one. It's a lot narrower.
But
and-
we just concerned about making the ladies' restroom, family restroom, and
Yeah,
new
and
doors.
that's an option we can look into, but
Please do.
yeah, once we have drawings in the area.
But I think until we get some drawings, we're just kind of batting the ball back and forth here.
Right.
So in order to move on a little bit, thank you for coming over. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay. Roy, get busy tonight yet. Roy designed my addition. I didn't know it till we come over here, so we go way back, don't we, Roy? And he did a good job. It's still standing. Thank you very much for coming over. We appreciate it. I think council enjoyed hearing what you had to say. Marty and Vincent, summer lunch program.
So, we are slated to go full course again in summer food, here. We are sponsored by a nonprofit in Somerset called Movement Collective. This is probably the best time. It took 9 years to get to this point, to where we're really doing well in feeding kids within the county. Meyersdale, and you especially, support us with having one of our sites. We have had a site down at the, under the pavilion for all those years. Sarah Jones is our supervisor, and I thought maybe she was going to be here. She's got a great team. I don't see any of them here either, but if you know anybody that would be interested in helping out, that would be great. Some of the statistics that we did from last year, remember last year was high inflation, and we gave out 53,208 meals. The entire county food program only gave out 74,000. So the sponsorship that Movement is doing for us gave out about 2/3 of them. Meyersdale was one of our biggest sites, and it gave out 10,140 meals to kids in the area. We distribute them, let me get this straight, Mondays and Thursdays from 5 to 6 down down at the pavilion. And, families come. Interestingly, we will sometimes have 100 bundles of meals, which mean that on any given day, we have 600 meals or 800 meals that we're giving out. And they're given out within 15, 20 minutes. So it's amazing how many people need them, and that it's all free to anybody. We are considered, Somerset County, a depressed rural site. And so any person between the ages of newborn until 18 is eligible, to come and get this. Doesn't matter socioeconomic background, doesn't matter financial, anything like that. So we are in the process now of doing some advertising and, that kind of thing. Just a little bit about like how well it did last year, that the Movement site, or the Movement sponsor, was able to buy me a van for this year to use, that I can go and get a 15-passenger van. And we also are hiring somebody to take over the administrative day-to-day management things that I do. I did it for a volunteer for all these years, and getting a little older, and I realized last year it's pretty hard to do all the things, things that I do in that. So we did hire somebody this year to take over and do that for us. But anyway, I just want to thank you that you guys support it. There definitely is a need in Meyersdale. We anticipate that we're probably going to go much higher. The program is sponsored by the federal government through the USDA, and it is run locally in our state by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Not sure the correlation, but that's how they get it. PDE is extremely helpful to us. They will, I can put in and say, last year I did, Meyersdale had 20 over, we didn't have enough meals. Can you up my number from like 85 to 120? They'll up it to 130, so that we can go over and above what we need. And then the Pittsburgh Food Bank is extremely helpful. They give us grant money every year to do some upgrades in that. So anyway, just wanted to come and tell you and thank you for it. And if anybody would like to volunteer, you can let me know, and I'll let Sarah know, because she's the one who oversees all of this. But I would entertain any questions.
Any questions, Marty-Ann, in the summer lunch program?
All right.
Good
All right.
presentation, good report. Thank you very much for coming. Okay, that takes care of our guest public comment. I would ask if there is any, please come up to the podium. So you're on our video. You have 5 minutes. Say anything you want. If you ask questions, our responses will go into the 5 minutes. So public comment is now open.
I'd like to piggyback off of the ADA stuff that you guys have in the works and point out that in town, there are no handicap accessible spots painted blue. in any of the areas the 3 areas that have actual handicap accessible signs, which 2 are in front of the Apostolic Church and 1 is in front of the chiropractor building that's actually a van accessible spot, which is not marked on the pavement, nor is there anything up and down this way. And I thought there used to be one in front of the post office, but it appears to be gone as well. The sign is gone. So I would suggest maybe you guys take a stroll up and down the streets to see where your handicap accessible parking is, because I know when I park my van in this town, it's very difficult for me to find a spot. So.
How about tomorrow if the prisoners have time? We'd have to keep going. I just wanted
No,
to, we're
that's
having
all
some
I
help
have to
here
say. I think
tomorrow.
that it's something that you guys need to be
I
taking a
can
look
get
at.
them to do whatever you like. Okay, if the weather's permitting. I do know at the post office, they did paint that.
But there's no
Wore-
spot painted anymore.
Yeah,
It's
wore
just
off.
lines where it's just where no parking is. There's no actual sign, nor is there a handicap dedicated spot. And the only 3 that are on the on Main Street are one in front of the
Thank you.
chiropractor, and it's not painted blue.
You
It's
know
painted white.
where they are to be painted.
I don't know if we can paint on the state.
Absolutely, because the state Department of Transportation, PennDOT has given the boroughs permission to do that, and we've done it every other time.
Hopefully we can.
We'll put it on our list and see how tomorrow
I can
goes.
have those guys do whatever you want, because they were asking about painting, and I think.
We had decided they're gonna go back around the town again.
Yes, and repaint.
And then if they have time, they're gonna paint the ramp. That was our next priority.
Yeah.
And get that secured, the repaired ramp in the back of the building. And then that shouldn't take too long. Well, we probably wanna give it 2 coats.
They're gonna do the arrows around the fountain over there.
But we can have them come back over.
They can.
Well, I think it's just good to assess. I don't know how many spots technically you should have based upon the streetscape project that you had done and what was dedicated at that time, but I think there were signs that were in place that are no longer there, so I think that you probably should pull that plan and see what was dedicated at that time and, make it what it was supposed to be.
Gotcha. Anything else?
No.
Finished? You're finished?
Yeah.
Okay. Public comment?
Hi.
I'm pretty sure everyone can hear me wherever I stand, but I am requesting that we close, the diner would like to do another car show again this year, similar to what we did last year, with some improvements. We had 45 volunteers. It would be July 6th, which is the Sunday after the 4th. And my request is that I can close the road again, similar to what I did last year. And I can fill out all the forms with Patty.
Could we have a motion to allow this to move forward, giving Borough permission? Is there any questions here first?
I make the motion.
Thank you. Karen does make the
I'll
motion.
second it.
Tom, thank you so much. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
You have 4 minutes and 10 seconds yet. Public comment?
Mine's almost as much a question as a statement.
Give us your name.
Bob Hufford, 412 7th Avenue. The alley beside my house, after the gas lines were done, it was repaved. I've been trying to figure out who to contact about the paving. I had done some work on my driveway and I elevated my driveway 4 inches above the road surface to make sure I didn't get flooded out because it's down. They repaved the road 6 inches higher than it was prior to the paving. So now all the water fills my garage until it gets to road level and then runs down the road again. I've had it happen twice in 12 months, nice brown muddy water. Been cleaning up for 12 to 14 hours a day for the last week and will be for the next 2 weeks. Unfortunately, the last time it happened, I had open heart the next day. So it took me a year to get cleaned out. And I just finished 5 days before I got flooded again. So this is getting old. I'd appreciate some support.
You know, I was thinking, finish, and then I'll
Yeah, just,
retort.
and wherever this needs to go to get that
Well,
roadway.
we had, I'll throw this up to the streets committee. We had a problem like this down at Jack Gauns's house on Lower Broadway, right on the side of the bridge. And when we had the pavers come, we just milled that down. It was running onto his sidewalk because same thing, they
paved it too high. And would something like that work?
Oh, if they could mill it back down, it would be fine by me.
Because I think that would be something,
I have pictures of the flooding, the water that used to run down the street, the curb I had. And it was a 6-foot wide path of water, not more than 2 inches deep, that went straight in my garage, but my sump pump can't handle that. And a 4-inch down on the road surface, there's no way it got wet. Bruce Bear below me, Bruce Bear, Wayne also, because it elevated above Bruce's parking area and Wayne's steps. It used to be below that. So they got a lot more water. I told them to file a claim. I filed a claim with Columbia Gas, so they're already aware of it. I don't know where it's going to go, but any support I can get going back to Columbia Gas. And then the other thing is our drain there is plugged, so the water just comes straight back out of it and doesn't go anywhere. So that drain jetting you were talking about would be a
not to defend anybody, but at Columbia Gas, they had it paved. And the same thing happened to me years ago on 10th Avenue. They had 10th Avenue was built up so high, and I had a swimming pool every time it would rain in my yard, and the borough came along and made a curb out of macadam, and it worked very, very well. So either something like that, there'd have to be a little curb you have to drive over, but I think milling would be the better way to go.
And I can show you in the photographs that unfortunately, because the water comes off the hill from John Sign's house at an angle, and that stuff won't take it, it would hit the curb that you put in and come down the curb and go in my garage. The photographs that I have and the videos I took of the flooding would demonstrate that there's no curb.
You mean down through your yard? It goes down.
Comes off. I actually tried to put a barrier for the water, and then we put in another drain. But unfortunately, the whole drain is clogged below me. So that drain, it takes a little bit. There's a little bit on top. We found out when we cut the drain open to replace under my driveway, that below it, it's 3/4 full of dirt, and it's been that way for 4 years. So the volume of water going in can't go through it. It backs up, it comes out. All the water coming down from Johnny Sign's place around his thing there, I can show you videos. There's a stream 2 feet wide and 4 inches deep that comes down that corner, and it crosses my parking area. So if we curb in front of the parking area, it's just going to take it right down to my garage. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I paid $13,000 when I moved in to have this fixed, and then they raised the road bed. It would not have happened if they had not raised the road bed.
What do you think, Terry?
So.
Brian,
is there a storm drain there?
What's your address?
Yeah, there's
4127. I can show you pictures.
Are you straight behind, are you on the road that goes up to the cemetery? Are you straight behind?
I'm right across the street.
house.
So he's right behind Wayne Berkeley.
Correct. Straight across from Mr. Thomas's house.
Pat Murray bought that, yeah.
Yeah, and,
Well, give us a little bit of time.
Sure, and I can
They're
send-
getting their heads together.
yeah. And if anybody wants to,
We'll see what we can do for you.
a great location.
Keep coming back. You know, government doesn't move like
And
an astro
just
rocket.
to let you know, I was a contracting officer for the federal government, so when I hear people talking about contracts or things like that, I was a contracts negotiator, so if you ever need anything for grants, I might be able to help there too. I don't know.
Thank you for that. But one last question. Are you saying then that you don't think the milling, if we would mill
Milling
that
would
down
take it.
on 7th Avenue, if that would take care of it?
Oh, not 7th, it would have to be that alley. I could show
Sherman.
you the pictures.
Sherman
No.
Street.
It's just
Ridge.
the alley behind
Rich.
Wayne Berkeley's, the
Yeah,
little alley.
that was
Okay.
raised 6 inches. It's now, the edge of it is an inch above my driveway. The crown is probably 2 to 3 inches above my driveway. And the base used to be 4 inches below. So if they took it down and milled it down, it would then carry the water like it always did past. After I had it repaired, I had no problems.
Seems to me milling would be the way. Give us a little bit of time. We're kind of
Thank
about
you
a
so
minute
much.
over here. We gave you over 5 minutes. Are you satisfied? So, but come back next month and just keep on us, you
If
know.
there's somebody I can send some photographs to so that y'all can review them, let me know.
I would probably say email them to Patty, the borough office, and then she can distribute them to the whole council.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's see what we can do for you.
Appreciate it.
Public comment.
I have one more.
Yes.
I wanted to say, we really appreciate Frostburg State University coming up in memory of Brooke Kirchner. planting flowers, all over town. They went out and did beautification out at the school. And I also want to thank, we got the bikes up in the park for this year and flowers in them. They also did that. And Nate Swalger and the Wendy Kelly family donated the materials and took them home, painted them, brought them, set them back up, and they look beautiful for our guests for the summer. So big thanks.
Public comment?
Do you want me to cover one more thing for this? So Terry Hackney messaged me this afternoon, and we have the veterans flags to go up for the year. And he said they'll have the veterans banners finished in the next couple of days. With all the borough has on their hands right now, would it be helpful if they installed them? So I'm.
What do you think,
bringing that to
Brian?
you.
That's up to you guys. I mean, it takes some time to put them up. But that's totally up to whatever the borough wants. I know we are getting behind in a lot of stuff.
You know, I have a proposal for council. I want Mark to weigh in on it, but we'll come to it on the agenda. So let's maybe hold that and not make a decision. And you can think about it and let us know if you want them to do it or not, Brian. Because technically, I mean, if you say no, you know, with the union, you're not like that, but still, it would be your decision as far as I'm concerned.
And he did offer that to me. I took some signs over that were new. It was Grant second, wasn't it, Tom? That somebody had hit. They destroyed the brand new signs. And I think he's gonna make us some new ones. And he made that offer to me when I dropped the signs off, so.
We can talk about it, or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Terry and the mayor, and we'll come up with some kind of a plan to get them up if you think you're, because I know you're swamped, especially with this flood. Eddie?
52, correct? There was 52. I don't know how many they're gonna have.
Okay, Eddie, to kind of keep moving here, any other public comment?
So my name's Bob Munyon, and tomorrow is the election for Borough Council. I'm on the ballot with Karen and Jeff Christner, I believe. I just wanted to introduce myself. I've been living in Meyersdale for since 2010, and I'm not saying that we're not going to argue and fight, but I look forward to working with everyone. I already worked with Ron in the prison, but I just wanted to introduce myself. If you have any questions, I'll be here. If not, when we're done, I'm leaving.
Thank you. You know what I would recommend? You're interested in council, and we're happy to see that. Come to the meetings. Come here and sit and listen to what goes on. Of course, you can watch them on the television.
I come to the meetings, but when I can't, I observe them on the YouTube.
There you go, because you learn a lot.
On Deb Kolb's channel.
Facebook, yeah. We have two places tonight. Deb's not here, but hopefully Danny will have a good copy for you tonight. Nice seeing you, Bob. Good luck. Congratulations. And to all the candidates.
It's up to the community.
Tomorrow is the big day.
Yeah, I'll be out there all day. So I'll hand you a piece
We'll
of
look
paper.
forward to wish everybody, all the candidates, the best. And you have 4 more minutes yet.
No, I'm good.
3.5. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, and the other public comment, Brian will probably come to you with the MMA if you have anything to say there. I think, Denise, you're hiding from me. Public comment? Okay, Eric? All right. President's report, I have none, except we will need an executive session after this meeting. My hope is it is going to be very, very quick. It is possible when we come out, there will be a vote taken. Mr. Mayor.
The other thing I have, we had some water damage downstairs. Hoping that smell would go away. It hasn't, so.
And the police.
What we could do, if we could get somebody in there to clean that, or if we could get even somebody in there to cut that old carpet out, might help that dry out down in there and do away with some of that smell. I think if we took the carpet out, that would definitely be.
It has it's moldy, musty, swampy.
Do you have a dehumidifier running down there?
The daycare got hit.
Yes,
This front door, it was halfway up the door in the daycare. Well, you came when we were running the pump out here trying to get it cleaned out. That's where they got their water. It came through the walls from the daycare into the police station. So
Okay,
that's something that I could talk to Nick. He could have the prisoners go in there. They're always looking for something to do.
yeah, I think the more we can utilize the workers, the better.
Would they be willing to put down like vinyl plank in there for us?
I could ask.
That goes in pretty easy.
I mean, I don't even know if we would need it. It's concrete underneath.
It's a cement floor.
And-
Could always paint it.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, anything else? Council member, junior council member, Olivia's not here. Emergency Management Coordinator report. Kevin, anything else to give us tonight?
We talked about the multi-agency resource center, starting on Thursday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Through Saturday, the 24th. About 12 agencies that are going to be up there for people who are affected by the flood of the entire area, Meyersdale, Garrett, all the surrounding areas. The flood rose at a rate of 2 feet an hour. It was a very fast one. Everybody is trying to figure out what the rain gauge was maxed at. Mine was maxed at 5 because that's all it holds. Just again, I just want to thank everybody for the response. Now it comes to recovery. People are recovering from mopping out, but it's taken a toll on a lot of the citizens, so it's going to take some time. The one thing that really helps, and I've heard from a lot of people, was the ability to take their destroyed possessions and put them somewhere to get them out of the way with the dumpster. Debris management is one of the keys. We have the dumpsters here. It's the same thing in Garrett also. I think they're up to like 10 dumpsters that they've replaced now. So just want to say thanks to everybody for what they've done so far and what they continue to do.
You know, Kevin, thank you for what you've done. We appreciate it. If you don't have anything else, you just made me think of something. So, done?
How will the communication go out to the public that the mark is going to be open 10 to 7 Thursday through Saturday?
We just today, I mean, my job has been driving a lot of people around, surveying the area. Our Emergency Operations Center and our Suffolk County Department of Emergency Services is coordinating that, and they will have put the word out. It's all already on our Facebook site and can be shared from that, but it'll go out. We'll be putting signs out in the parking lot for the day of. It's going to be, like I said, about a dozen different agencies to help people. So.
Can you tag me in that? And then I'll make sure it goes on Meyersdale Community Connections. Okay.
You made me think, and I think the council, I kind of told Brian, just get more dumpsters. You know, if the borough has to pay for them, it was an emergency situation. So now we have 8. I kind of said what I said because we felt we wanted to do it and help our citizens. But going forward now, could we have a discussion on what do we do when these 4 are filled? That'll be 8. I mean, is the borough willing to absorb the cost for 4 more? 4 more? I mean, how far do we want to go in this? I'm ambivalent. I'm just asking to keep my butt out of this sling as far as getting in trouble.
For the first 4 that you're talking about, correct? Because it was 4 for the borough altogether.
Yeah, 2 and 2. 2
So
from
that one from an emergency and that close to the emergency response, you could probably have gotten away with it. We didn't have a meeting in between because it was canceled. But yeah, you should make a decision here tonight.
So we're up to 8. I'm not sure if the county commissioners are going to be willing to fund those other 2. And was it, who gave us the Harball dumpsters? Are we paying for those?
We contacted Harbaugh on those.
So we're going to pay for,
I suppose the borough's gonna pay for those. Now, the yellow dumpsters, Pro Disposal, I think, I don't know where those come from.
I thought they came from the
the
county.
county commissioners and Carl Mesker. They offered us 2 initially. that they were paying for. Beyond that, I don't know if they're gonna cover the cost.
Could you ask them? Could you contact them and just tell them that it's, you have to do it right now, but that's what I want to know. When do we shut this thing off? I mean, do we
think
gonna go
when the
for
need
more?
Goes away.
Huh?
I think when the need goes away.
Well, I'm just asking that we have some kind of a guidance. It's publicly discussed and then,
I think you'll see the need go away. People had to have time to have their game plan. They also had to have time for their insurance adjusters to come in. But there has been a lot of people take advantage of the dumpsters as far as rightfully so bringing their stuff. At some point, you'll start seeing people who weren't affected by the flood put stuff in the dumpsters. So it's a difficult thing to gauge. The first week is vital for that because without those dumpsters, all that stuff will be dragged to the corner and will be there for quite a while. So that's up to use. But whatever you are doing and what you are incurring, save the receipts. And then we'll look at further funding in the future for that in different avenues. So.
Could I suggest you keep them till the end of the month?
yeah, that's a good suggestion.
And that makes sense with your saying that the first week's crucial, but then with insurance adjusters coming in, that would make.
A lot of people got their own dumpsters.
Yeah.
And
And the other thing, I mean, Brian has been smashing this stuff down. I mean, they probably would have been filled a long time ago, right? And he helped people with chairs and stuff that were there. Carpet, actually took his backhoe, your dad, and lifted into the dumpster. So this guy has gone beyond the call of duty, coming in a couple times a day when he's off. You know, he did ask for a Thursday off, right?
Yeah.
Because of all the
My
extra.
son graduated.
Right, so let's let him have Thursday off. But anyways, so Patty had suggested maybe we keep replenishing them till the end of the month, which is today's about 10 days. 11 days tomorrow. Well, I went to town. So what do you think? Do we have a motion to do that?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, and Ron, Tom makes it, Tom seconds it. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Right, we may not be able to pay it next year, but we're gonna get the dumpsters. I'm kidding you. Okay, thank you for that report. We appreciate it. And now I have to say the solicitor. So everybody get your nightcap and take it off.
Funny man.
Very funny.
Quit being a Dennis and a comedian. Salisbury Street. So I turned everything into Steve's spoke card. I filled out the application. I provided him with, if you've ever read the application for demolition, they want all the pictures, all the citations, all the actions that were previously taken. I provided them with the tax assessment, the whole 9 yards. So they've been provided with everything. I know they're occupied with other issues right now, but I haven't got any questions back yet. I believe we're going to discuss the dark construction tonight,
Yeah, the change order, I have it right here to read out, and hopefully we'll approve that because Jason is chomping at the bit to get this change order.
the ATV sign. I know Brian was going to start working on those. I know you're predisposed now, but those should be up sooner than later when we get time because the designated trails, which are every borough roadway, is what's accessible, but the state roadways are not accessible. They can only be crossed perpendicularly from, access point to access point. That's what you've been seeing, and I'm sure the mayor knows. Our officers have been dealing with that because some of the people have listened well and some haven't to that, but that is necessary to keep going.
It's a liability on the town until we get that done.
Yeah, the sooner we get it done, the better. The next issue is, I guess it's
What were you
called
talking about? Just,
the ATV signs.
okay. Just, can I interrupt for a second?
No.
okay.
Go ahead.
I would like to, Brian and I talked about this, and we have to get your advice on this. I would like to propose, if it's possible, that we hire Ben back. Brian has promised me if we get Ben here, 4 hours a day, 4 hours a day, they are gonna work on these ATV signs. Ben can help you or do the mowing. It'll be $12. ATVs, 4 hours a day for that, and for Tom's signs also. And then, once we get that done, we can see where we are. Now, I don't know,
We have to advertise it.
well, that's what I was trying to find out, so then I would suggest, I mean, it's later on the list, but just maybe not to interrupt with, Mark's report, but we can discuss that later on, and I'd like to advertise for somebody. I mean, the thing that would make sense with Ben is he has experience. And because we have enough stuff to do, maybe paint things, the handicap accessibility, blue lines. Go ahead.
So the next one is the Carl Robb property. If you guys recall, there was a dumping on that property. I haven't heard anything. Well, actually, I got one response from DEP, but they didn't tell me what enforcement, if any, action's going on. They were provided with all the information plus the photos I received. I don't know what they're doing, and legally they don't have to tell us what they're doing with their investigation. Was it cleaned up or did it remain there?
Was that Large Street?
Yeah.
Yes.
We cleaned that up with the prisoners today. We thought that was, I mean, it was part of the flooding.
Well, but from
No, that was cleaned up weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
He paid somebody to do it.
Okay.
I did have a question about that.
Yes.
I thought it was a civil issue.
Yeah, it is a civil issue. It is the actual dumping. So there's several parts of it. The actual dumping of solid waste is a PADEP issue
Right.
that they handle, but there is a civil issue there too. Yep.
Have we said anything to the dumpster company about that was uncool? Have we contacted them?
Just gave them notice. That's it.
Okay.
Because it's not the borough's civil issue.
It isn't.
But yeah,
I spoke with Harbaugh on that.
Good. And I hope you were in rare form.
I was.
he was in
Good.
notice form.
Okay.
Right?
But now it appears it's in DEP's hands.
Yes, sir. I'll have to ask Patty. I know I should look, Patty, you can yell at me. When you posted the executive session, does it say the same as like at the end of our agenda about it, property matters, personnel, legal matter kind of thing?
The executive sessions is what you can have them for. That's why those are there.
Okay. So if it wasn't listed, I should get a vote to add. There's the two litigation things that I need to deal with in executive session to amend the agenda.
Could we have a motion to, what you're asking, just to amend the agenda,
For the executive session, yeah.
we already advertised that though, didn't we, Patty? We're gonna have an executive session?
I didn't advertise it in the newspaper. All I have here is like
Oh, okay.
continually every month that these are the
I thought-
reasons you can have
Okay.
an executive
Yep.
session.
Okay, Clarence made the motion and Tom seconded. Is that correct? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
What are the two areas, just personnel?
We're gonna have one personnel issue and then two litigation issues, correct? Sorry about that, Patty. If I told you sooner, we wouldn't have had to amend it. Okay, that's those two. So I was asked last month about, I believe it's Woodlawn, and it deals with the Sunset Lane. Sunset Lane is not a borough roadway. Sunset Lane was put in quite some time ago. The persons who need access to Sunset Lane that came here, they are granted access through their deeds. When it comes to the maintenance of it, erosion, or any of those issues, that's a civil matter that would be between landowners. With respect to the street or alley that runs up there, because it's at 9th, I can't remember.
9th Avenue.
That alley was never legally closed, but you'll also see 8th was never legally closed, nor 7th for portions of it, yet there's houses built across it, other things. So, but 9th, I do believe there appears to be nothing that was built across. In fact, you can actually see the right of way in the aerial photographs. So, and I believe the MMA uses that right of way also. But I will send a letter out to the owner that came here and asked. Go ahead.
I'm trying to find his note. He couldn't be here. He was working. He asked me to read a note. I know on the phone, when he called me yesterday, he wanted to know that since it's just grass, and isn't maintained by the borough, is it a paper alley? Is it what we refer to as a paper alley?
They call it a paper alley, but there's really nothing paper about it because it's in the plan of lots. And I mean, that's what everybody calls it though, but it's in the plan of lots. It's designated. In fact, at one time it appears it was actually in use. I don't know how many years ago that was, probably when you were a child in the horse and buggy. But it was in use at some point. It's long time ago has been taken out.
Here's his note.
Okay.
We appreciate letting us use the 9th Street alley. My questions are, 1, can the borough put gravel down, or is that something I have to do? The alley is all grass. 2, does it have to become another road name? 3, can we change the address to our place since we won't be using Sunset Lane anymore? Thank you for your time. Well, the renaming goes through the 911 center.
Mm-hmm.
I know that much.
Well, I would probably say they didn't want to call it 9th Avenue. You know, that brings up an interesting point. I think it's Apple Alley or Apple Street that runs between Beakley Street and Salisbury Street, behind my office. Everything's paved clear out to there. And then it's been grass forever. Now, every now and then somebody will drive across there. We keep it mowed. We do for the borough. Roger McKenzie, the ambulance, will do it, and Eric and myself keep it mowed. We've never asked the borough to pave that or to put gravel down. But I think if we use that alley, what I'm speaking of on between Salisbury and Beakley, it wouldn't take too long till it would be a muddy mess. So that's the problem we have to decide. I mean, whose responsibility would it be? I mean, I think it's an open alley and in fact, he had called me earlier and Terry and I went up, or actually we looked, and Terry and I, since the council meeting was so late, Terry head of streets, we felt, agreeing with what you said now, that it is in fact the borough responsibility because of the sewer lines, the manholes that was up there. So we both said, go ahead and use it temporarily. That may change when we get together. So then right away, they also asked, well, what about putting gravel or something on there? So that's a pretty big area up there to cover with gravel from, it would be Sherman Street, where Britta Mitchell lives, up. That's a pretty good ways for the borough to have to fund gravel.
On a hill, it'll wash out.
Well, you said it. You said it. So that's what we have to decide. I don't know that we would be prepared to make that decision tonight, but, and then if he puts gravel on, is it, like Karen said, is it gonna wash down?
Well, there's a whole process, of course.
And you're setting a precedent. How many of these paper alleys do we have all over, like down by the Little League field? We have them up above our property on Penn Street, all over.
So, without remembering the order of the questions, tell me which ones I don't answer. But the first one and the easiest one, the glasses off, so let me get a second. Sorry. The first one and the easiest one that nobody wants to hear is for them to request for that to be open. Boroughs and townships almost always, unless there is a significant need, like for example, the emergency access because of trains, with respect to Myers Avenue, they require, first of all landowners would have to get notice. That would be at the expense of the persons who want to open it. They would have to take the legal steps to make sure that everybody's given notice, they approve it, even though it's right away. And the next step is the step everybody gets mad about. They would have to get it up to PennDOT spec because that's what's required for liquid fuels. If you would have it put in without liquid fuels, then we won't get any of the reimbursement or anything else for that. And we already have stormwater issues. Putting in another paved roadway, we'd have to do additional studies and a bunch of other stuff. It gets quite expensive. For example, the last one I was involved in was in the Salisbury Borough, and it was probably a fourth of that length that you're talking about. And it was 6 or 7 years ago, so everything was more expensive. It was around $84,000 is what that person paid to extend that roadway. So you got to keep that in mind. Also, they look at from expending borough monies, how many houses are actually affected from that roadway. So there's a lot of different things you have to take into mind and consider, not to mention other utilities, how that might affect them. So, after I looked, he has legal access to Sunset Lane. Yes, he'll have to enter into whatever maintenance agreement, whatever else with the other persons who have put money in that lane.
Is he aware that he has this?
No, but I'll send him notice.
I would say maybe you could correspond with him, and the simplest thing would be if there's already a deed in place or an agreement that he has access and he's able to use that road.
The access.
That would be the simplest thing.
That access is recorded in 1992, and it's flowed through the deeds, and it flows through multiple deeds. It's not just one property.
So from his house, he can go clear down.
He has
7th Avenue.
Think about that as an L shape.
Right.
Okay. The part that parallels Woodlawn, he has there's a 16 and a half foot right of way of that road that he's allowed to use. It's almost abuts the fence to the left if you're heading in a northerly direction. And then when it turns on the L shape, you have let's see, the first part is 16 and a half, the second part is 16 feet down the Woodlawn. Yeah. But they will still have to deal with like any other right-of-way agreement because it's in a deed with maintenance, and that's all on their personal side.
I would move forward and communicate with them from a legal perspective if council has no objection. And let's see what they say, what we can work out, and we'll have to maybe bring this up again in June. Keep moving.
Let me answer the other two.
A real quick question.
Yeah.
So you are saying that Sunset is a private?
Sunset is private.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've had this issue
Yep.
with our plowing over the years.
We've had it with erosion too.
Yeah.
So the borough should not expend any funds in that. It should not be, what can't be listed in our liquid fuels because it's shale, right? So, none of that should be there. It was never that roadway is really odd because it doesn't link up with 7th or 8th, and there's no plan for it. I don't know how that ever happened, but here we are. So, yeah.
I think Simon Newton put that road.
You're actually right. That's who did put it in. I know that part because I found that. Yeah.
Keep moving.
All right. Sorry again.
Rename the road.
All right. Renaming the road is definitely a county issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the 911 is how to
Yep.
get a new address.
Yep.
I've done that. I think you're good.
Okay. Yeah. The address of the roadway are definitely county issues.
Mhm.
Yeah. For emergency response and tax purposes.
He wouldn't have to do that now.
No.
He wants to do the
Nope. And I'd hate to see what that would cost. That would be nice. All right, the next one. I was asked about the cashless, borough going to cashless, and I found something that I didn't think I was going to find because usually I say we should go cashless. Evidently, private businesses and government are getting hit with lawsuits from concerning the PA Consumer Data Privacy Act, and there's a House Bill 685. Those are all for requiring people to accept cash payments. So what I mean by that is you could say we're going cashless, and if people want to pay cash, you cannot stop them. You have to accept the payment. I didn't know that that was true. Usually from a safety standpoint, audit standpoint, we say go cashless. So yeah, I was kind of surprised on that. The next part is the most annoying, I think, part that, because I never thought I would be this annoyed, but it's not about looking for the mirror. I want to emphasize that Dale Street is Dale Street, I believe. Dale Street issue with the mirror is not the annoying part. I don't mean that. What's annoying is if you've ever looked at what the FCC and the Verizon agreements to attach anything to a pull and tail, I never would have imagined they are that involved. And even though it's a mirror, that is considered placing a facility on a pole. We'd probably have to, I know we'd have to post at least a minimum of a $10,000 bond. We We'd also have to have an insurance policy that specifically covers that pole and that mirror and has Verizon not only as an additional assured, but holds them harmless. We'd also have to pay, our workers came up and put it on. We would have to have a study done, which God only knows what that costs, and it has to be done by an approved Verizon employee or a contractor. And then we have to have somebody, install it, which is a whole different thing. And this gets renewed. Plus, Verizon also has the right through the FCC, even on a mirror, to charge us So I do not know how much would be involved with placing that. The whole other side is, and I asked Moss Holders, I can't remember, Moss Holders Insurance, about placing a mirror, and they were going to look into it. I haven't heard back from them what our liability is on that. I don't know the specifics of that roadway interchange and what's going on. It may be something to consider and look at making one of those streets a one-way street, or we're thinking about traffic pattern differences to make that safer. I'm not sure what all, I know we've had issues there, but I don't know if there's any alternative we have. And I'm just asking that. I'm not saying there's no alternative to handling it. But evidently, mirrors are not in the greatest favor. I mean, I know they used to be popular for that, but we'd have to get FCC approval and Verizon's approval. And you would have to vote on that to go forward on that, because, yeah. So the next thing is, if there's no questions or comments on that, the social media policy, I gave those out last month, I think, and I haven't heard anything about it. So I don't know where we're at on that. If anybody's looked at it, reviewed it.
Could I ask that we punt this again? With all we've had to deal with, I was going to read it and then the flood came. I don't know, has any council member actually sat down and read it since the June meeting, since the April meeting?
Thank you.
Have you read it, Tom?
Memorized it.
Okay, then give it to us. Good. Have you, Clarence? So let's try to, everybody read the social media policy for our June meeting. Okay, go ahead.
Tom, if you memorize that, I'll transport you wherever you need to go. I'm sorry for that deed. Wow. So there's no update on Green Street wall. Yeah, we're on 11 to 15. Okay. Yet the Stefano's office continues to send me possibilities for funding and grants. We haven't found anything that's directly applicable to that yet, but we're hopeful that he'll find that, and they're very helpful. The High Street Bridge. I'm sure you all read the report that came out here at the end of April. That was the February 27th inspection date. And I have been trying to communicate with CSX, so has EADS. PennDOT has taken the lead in that, which is a good thing. But I just want to make you aware that, there are some fairly serious, well, actually the qualifications, one of the highest ratings is serious, the deck itself. And the deck is not only the roadway, but also the walkway, is considered to be in a very serious state, which means that at this time, the actual structure, the impoundments and all those things are safe from using it standpoint. But in the very near future, that could change and they could shut that roadway down. And there's an importance to that. Now, PennDOT, it has been taking the lead on that because we've reposted the signs, right, Brian?
Yes.
Yep. So it's been in serious condition for several years, but they're now getting pressure on through the Commonwealth to have that change. So anytime you talk to Stefano or Representative Metzger or their office, I would put a bug in their ear from council members to push CSX to do that because, they're saying now that I didn't print that off, but I know the cost to replace it, they think is going to be well over $10 million.
Well, that could be catastrophic if they close that down for EMS.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know that the other roads would be wide enough for a fire truck to turn on.
Well, you think about what happens fairly often, and We have trains that block Myers Avenue. We've had trains block all the crossings at one time. And if that bridge is out, and I know Kevin Broadwater explained it to me how they would route, but it'd be really, really far out of the way. Yeah. Yep.
Well, they did replace wood up there on the railings and the walkway.
Which is amusing in a way, because that's has a higher rating than the deck itself. Okay. The next thing is you asked about the yard waste disposal site and just what was, getting the permit to actually do that wouldn't be so bad, but it would have to be in a non-floodplain area. It would also have to be big enough to handle it, and it would have to be in an area that is zoned for that. Quite frankly, especially with this last flood event, not knowing what storm that they'd have that designed for, I don't know where in the borough you would be able to do that. I think a better option would be either talking to the county through their recycling coordinator, because they have tried some composting and other projects in the past, letting them know that need, but maybe looking at a intermunicipal site, because I'm sure Summit Township and maybe some of the other places might have that same need. That would be my recommendation. The other thing that came up, and this was through PMCA, there's several things with PMCA that you need to be aware of. I know that we've punted the chicken ordinance already. I think we need to look at a livestock ordinance, and it needs to affect zoning. We've had multiple issues from the same location recently with various forms of wildlife and livestock around, and not everybody has reported that to PMCA. And there's some of the people that I deal with in the borough have complained to me about it. And I know that they have complained to PMCA and the borough itself. But I think we need to look in that, because that district that is located below the Maple Festival property, in between the Large Street and the Maple Festival, it is zoned as a recreational, and I can't remember the other term, area, and it doesn't really match the borough, the needs in being in the borough itself. So that being said, if you're going to visit that, I also think you need to revisit the fence portion of our zoning, because if you look, the type of fencing that was permitted in 2004 in our ordinance is not a common type of fencing that's used today. So there are a lot of people, and I'll say this and get mad at it if you want to, but there's a lot of people that have put up fencing or replaced fencing that's actually in violation of our ordinance. And yet we're enforcing some things when people want to put a new fence up, and it's not jiving. So I think you really need to take a good look at that, or allow me to change it and vote on it, and we'll adopt it. The other thing is our zoning districts. This has come up several times. We really need to get our zoning districts in line with what we have today. For example, all the churches in town, if they want to change their sign, even if it's the same size, the same type of sign, some of these people or churches have spent, I know the one was over $10,000, several of them are in the thousands. I think we need to rethink that, along with even businesses. And that would take into account, though, too, we talk about parking and accessibility and all those things. Our districts aren't zoned the way we use them. And then they have a bunch of requirements that some people would not have to meet because their zoning would change. But if you think about going up to the up to the rail trail, every one of those places that wants to have, whether it's a bed and breakfast, restaurant, anything that is not a residential 3 zoning area, I think the other side might be a 1, but that being said, they have to meet a bunch of requirements that no other place in town has to do that. One of the advantages to zoning that properly is, you'll hear people complain about businesses that are located in different areas of town that maybe they don't prefer. If you have areas that are open and it meets the buildings and the parking and what the current uses are, potential uses, you would have people maybe desiring to locate where you would prefer them to be. So I think that's something to take into consideration. It's not as complicated as it sounds, but you have to be willing to want to do it for me to do it. Because all it is, it's an amendment to the current zoning ordinance. It's not redoing that crazy thick zoning ordinance. It's just amending what areas need to be done. Any comments on that?
I'd like to see us address that.
Yeah, and PMCA's actually requested that because we keep having the same stuff over and over again. And our wheel isn't really that round. It's more like square or rectangle shaped at this point, because every time it turns, we dump on the ground. So,
How does that affect businesses that are already in those areas if you rezone them?
they would be under.
Grandfather.
Yeah, they would be grandfathered, but what I would suggest is that we actually change our grandfather provision, because our grandfather provision doesn't make that much sense. So if you guys have ever read the ordinance, which I'm sure y'all have, let's say,
Memorize that
yeah.
one too.
Pick any business in town, and let's say that it currently is allowed to be there. Let's say it's pre-existing from prior to the zoning ordinance. Once they sell it under our provision, they now have to change that use. And I highly doubt that anybody who would see the map or find that obscure part of the ordinance has any clue to that. And there are many businesses that haven't conformed, but yet then some have been made to conform. And there are buyers and realtors, so I'm not bashing anybody, that are aware, and then it does affect the sales. So, and I think we should revisit that, because what the bulk of places are in our country, if it's a continuing, ongoing use, and it's the same or similar type of business, then it could conform, because we would have an issue right now without looking at the zoning map for your office, so they'll start yelling. But, someday you retire, and let's say you sold it to, whether it was a law office, whether it was any kind of professional office at all, or any other use other than dentistry, there could be an issue with that of, now you have this business located there under our current ordinance, and that isn't zoned for this use. So, and then you would have people, which we've had several, they're going through a zoning hearing board, and having I'm not trying to make this silly, but it's true, having a 15-minute hearing, because you're gonna have this zoning use there. None of the neighbors are complaining about it. And it just saves a lot of time, money, and I think it's respectful. Yeah. All right. Next one I have, because I'm seeing Tom stare at me more. Where are we at? The last one is Salisbury's police coverage. I got communicated by Attorney Flower, and they are asking, I didn't get a chance to ask the mayor, but they asked me to bring to council and the mayor to see whether we desire to continue to have coverage with our current police force size.
Well, I say we table it. I just don't think we can do it. There's a lot changed, Shane, that, from a council perspective, you may disagree, but, without giving hours away, I signed the paychecks and
Yeah, I think too.
you know what's going on there. So at this point, I just.
I would ask that you vote, and it doesn't mean, you realize the vote is not forever, right? You can always change it in the future.
Let me ask you this question. Do they currently have police coverage up there? I had heard.
State police is my understanding. And the reason why they are asking is I put together the initial agreement that we have. They want to interchange some things into the agreement. And I punted to them, I didn't ask the mayor, but I punted to them that if they want to expend the funds, doing that, great. But I didn't think the borough really wanted to expend the funds. They have the need, we have the police. So I don't think they want to expend any more funds if it's not going to be fruitful at this time.
Well, I'll just say this. I mean, we have one officer that's working a significant amount, and we have one officer that's not. It's as simple as that. So until we get some kind of a balance, I don't think, Shane, what do you think?
No, I totally agree.
Well,
I mean, I would love to do it. I would love to help them out, but at this particular time, with
Timmy
don't have the
and
resources.
Nick gone, it just, I don't see how we can do it.
Hearing the mayor's position on that, then I don't think we need a vote for council, because unless the mayor believes that need is something we can fill at this time, you don't really have to vote one way or the other.
No, I don't think I mean, you guys can vote on it all you want. I don't think we have the manpower to send anybody up there.
Yep.
And not at this time, we know.
I think we can just move forward that way.
Why wouldn't Elk Liquor Summit do it?
They don't have.
They just have one guy.
They
They
don't
just
have
have
anybody.
Joe.
Why not?
Right.
Incorporate that when they do their patrols.
But they
Anything
can
else?
functionally talk.
So we're gonna hold on Salisbury Police. Do you have anything else so great one?
No, just for executive session.
Okay. Thank you so much. Let's move on. Let's fly through these now, most of them, because a lot of them we've covered already. Code enforcement, Ed's not here, or anyone from code enforcement. Brian's here. Anything from the MMA?
Just briefly, our office, as you know, is moved down there, down below. Everything's going well. We have a meeting tomorrow night here.
Yeah.
I know Terry and the rest of the employees have been working in earnest in light of the flooding event, and I know we'll have some conversations tomorrow evening regarding that. But no, it's can't believe we're already here for another month already. It's been going fast.
You know, Brian, the only concern that I have, and I've heard people question or complain, Patty will maybe kick me. I think that we ought to continue to let people drop their payments off over here. A lot of people want to do that. Now, it's my understanding that that's not in the works, but all Patty has to do is pick them up, and Bree will have to run over here maybe twice a month, just like she does go to the post office, unless you have a post office box.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we're going to be talking about tomorrow.
But I mean, it's just my opinion as a member of the community, things that I've heard. I really think that you ought to at least let the people drop their payments here, and then after you get 2 or 3 days, somebody can run them out to your office. Just my suggestion, huh?
You want me to kick them, Patty?
Huh?
You want me to kick them?
No.
Okay.
Bree and I kind of work it out. If I get something, I'll call her and she'll come get it.
Well, I'd have them put it in the box and keep our fingers out of it, just in case, I gave it to Patty, why didn't you get it? We were not even involved. Put it in the mailbox
Well,
out there and they can pick it up
Yeah,
from
but
there.
I have a key to the mailbox, so I'm still gonna have to handle it to find the garbage payment.
Throw it away.
I'm done.
Well, I think we want to try to make it as easy for our handicap accessible, our elderly. They're used to bringing it off here. They pay 2 bills at one time, separate envelopes, hopefully.
Are you gonna have an outside payment box or
That's,
something out there?
again, it's.
To be decided.
Yeah, that's tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's actually part of the permit. I think they're gonna have that installed, or it's part of the door.
The door is, we already talked about that.
Yeah.
Anything else?
If that happened, it probably wouldn't even be necessary.
No, I'm just being abbreviated because I know you've had a long, it's been a long.
But this is important that anything.
I know the infrastructures, regarding the water lines, sewer lines. I mean, I know I've received some feedback regarding the flood event and those types of things. It's unfortunate, but it's nice to, my observation is the same way. The community rallied around the community. So that is nice in the unfortunate event where it affects everybody in this room and then some. Everybody did, I went and talked to Shane right away, down there, was in and around the town helping out until, one of the officers came on. But nonetheless, that's what we should do. The fire hall did awesome. I know the employees of the MMA were running nonstop for a while. And I applaud their efforts. I mean, we didn't have anybody stranded over there this year, right, Terry? So, Mark can get over there. But thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome, Brian. Meyersdale Area Merchants. Yes, Denise, come up to the podium, please.
So let's make it quick. June 5th will be the farmer's market. It'll be open 8 to 1. Our annual meeting will be held on June 26th at the Levi Deal. We'll be doing our membership drive, and our golf outing is Saturday, August 23rd.
Any questions for Denise? Okay, public library. Meyersdale Community Events. Jenny's not here. Is there anything on that group to?
No.
That's right, you're new to the chair. You are the new chairman, Clarence. Anything there?
I never heard nothing back from the,
We'll go back to it.
the daughter and son dance they had at the house. next meeting scheduled for the 29th, so that's it.
Thank you very much. Brian, I missed you, sorry. Speak for me.
The only thing I have, and I'm asking, Pine Street, the ditch. I was over the other day when we had the flooding. I actually spoke to his brother Jason and his dad. He has a sump pump that runs into that ditch. The water authority has a water line that runs through that ditch. We did put two sections in there, and I was wondering if we could actually add 2 more sections of pipe to cover their water line and protect the sump pump going into Jason's house. What happened the last time when it flooded, his sump pump shut down, and it actually siphoned all the water back into his house. So if we could put 2 more sections of pipe in there, if the borough would allow me to get 2 more pieces at some point to do that.
Where is Pine?
That's when you go up Lord Street and it comes out.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it's that expensive, so I'd say go ahead and let him put 2 more sections of pipe in.
Yeah, it would protect their water line when I clean that ditch, and it would help Jason.
Motion,
Would that also help?
Clarence, seconds it, question?
Yeah, the church wanted to take care of that at one point.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. The Renaissance, anything on that? Council members standing committee, we already covered police, public safety, and Salisbury police coverage. Anything else, Ron or Shane, under police?
I don't have nothing.
Personnel, I guess now, my suggestion would be then we go ahead and advertise for another worker, $12 an hour, maybe 35 hours a week, 38 hours a week.
Can't go any more than 36. 'cause that's
And
all
36 is what we'll do. Patty will keep us straight there. But then the understanding would be that 4 hours a day, you're gonna do these signs till we get all these signs up. Tom's signs, the other signs, go ahead.
I have his map.
Good.
So, I mean, what do we think? So if we advertise it, and we're not gonna be able to do this now to the June meeting, is that right? To make the decision, so I guess we'll just have to wait. And we'll be getting our workers before the June meeting.
I'll bring some up, Jeff. I was gonna mention this under the flood control, but the DEP guy today, we walked up by the holding pond, and there's some vegetation that's growing in there, small trees. He strongly suggests that we get that all cut out this summer, because he said the Corps of Engineers is coming this summer for their inspection this year, but he said, once that develops past a certain stage, you'll consider that a wetlands. And once that reverts to a wetlands, you'll never touch it again, then we will fall from minimally acceptable to unacceptable, and that would affect our funding or you know, our, the insurance rates for the town, so. And that's not just a 4-hour-a-day job every other day, that's gonna be a 8-hour job for weeks.
Yeah, I mean, what did we pay the last time? That outfit down in Hyman to clean all that out.
This is just
This
vegetation.
is just going into the chainsaw, this isn't, and he said that needs to be done before the excavation takes place.
Yeah, so the only way that you would disturb that after it becomes designated a wetland is you would have to come up with other wetland areas. And the wonderful, what's the
Can we
cyber
handle that,
dam?
Brian?
It's already our designated wetland area and for Pennsylvania.
What?
What I would say you would need another guy to commit your time.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big job, and it's not only gonna be big, but it's gonna be something safety, because that's sediment in there and stuff, that's soft.
Why don't we look at that? Will you be available 2 o'clock on Wednesday? Terry is if he can, and Kevin Yoder, and anybody else who wants to join us. Let's look at both areas, 2 o'clock on Wednesday the 21st. We'll start at the bottom and then go, is that okay? I'd like to see what we're talking about
I
here.
mean, other than the converting to a wetlands, he said also when the trees get so big, the root structure will grow into the levee and then,
Yes.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
make holes in it.
Okay, so, but getting back now to this community service worker, I'd like to suggest we advertise for someone, someone that has experience. I mean, Ben would be perfect. And there's no way we can just bring him back with his experience, to do this one specific job of the signs, helping to get these signs up, because it just, I don't know when you're gonna do it,
I mean,
unless you get more help.
And I fully understand the help, but my question is, if you're gonna hire for that time, what is JR, is his time maxed out, or how does that?
he has 36 hours right now.
Okay.
And we would be sure, so I'm sure it's okay with JR, but we would double check, because JR, I think, would appreciate having help.
Hours, and he would have to eventually turn full time, and he'd have to give the benefits.
Gotcha.
Okay.
This community.
Well, they're coming, the end of the school year, probably the 1st of June. One of them has to be with somebody and could never put these signs up, I don't think. And the other fella, the individual, there's a lady and a boy
There's gonna
coming.
be a boy and a girl coming for tabling. This community service worker isn't what you were talking about, hiring somebody. This is a lady that wants to do community service, and to put in 30 hours. So whether you wanna do it or not.
Do you know, I don't know this lady. We tried this one time, Patty and I were discussing it, and it was a pain in the butt. She never did come. It was a lady, wasn't it?
That time it was.
Do we have to monitor her?
Huh?
Do we have to monitor that person, do you know?
She just asked if the borough had anything that she could do community service. But prior experience, you might get them to show up one day and then they never see him again.
Past experience, it wasn't good. It was we spent more time in aggravation.
Track him down.
So, but whatever, thank you, Patty, I forgot about that.
I think we have enough on our plate.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. But
I
that's up to
agree.
everybody.
Okay.
Patty, was that a court community service, or is that like, is it like a court probation kind of
She
community
didn't give
service?
me a whole lot of
Okay.
information. I think maybe she had to work out a fine or something maybe.
Finance, then, we surely took care of finances, Terry. Refuge.
Are we saying no to the community service worker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not hiring somebody, I got mixed up. The refuge, and we're gonna vote to extend this contract, this has been kinda percolating along here.
You already did, but you wanted it left on there until we had the actual
Yeah,
documents.
we haven't received the documents yet.
Okay, maybe just put on there so I remember for June, pending receiving documents or something like that. I thought we voted on that. Streets or buildings, anybody have anything on that? Flood control, we've discussed that.
So, to get back to Pam on the grants, are we interested in flood control system and the storm mapping, evaluation, and cleaning? I mean, what does council, what are we interested in?
Do you know what, Karen, at this point, you just said it, we have a lot on our plate. I think that would be something for the new council coming in. We have to worry about these 2 projects and getting all that done. I would say this would be something, once we get the flood control done now, we can move forward in 2026 to do it. That's just my
But they
opinion.
want to wrap this up in this disaster and try to get funding for it. So unfortunately, like the timing is now.
Well, then if we want to apply for grants now, then let's see what we can come up with. Let's do it.
You vote?
Are you making a motion?
Yes.
Okay, and a second. Thank you, Clarence. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Now, the flood control in the farmer's market. Anybody here reported in the farmer's market? It's June?
June 5th, on a Thursday.
Okay. Unfinished business, we covered the social media policy, the ADA restrooms and grant applications. That was discussed with our engineer here. That was a unanimous approval. We took care of Matt and Kayla Broadwater Access Road. The zoning ordinance review, Mark reported on that. The Dale Street mirror, that was discussed. The yard waste to try to get someplace in Summit Township, that was discussed. Okay, door construction, I'm going to read the change order that's been proposed here, and then I would urge council that we go ahead and approve this. So in addition to putting all the windows in, there's 3 items. Number one, proposal to add mini split units into the borough office, adjoining room, and lower level police station, including removal of existing unit from the front of the building and locating a new larger unit on the side of the building. That's $20,000. Now, Jason and I discussed this, and if you look, this current mini split is really almost too close to the existing window. And Jason felt that we really need to move that. So that's number one there. These are for discussion then. Number two, propose to open an addition doorway with a framed and trimmed opening from the borough office to the adjoining room. That's where the MMA is right now. That's $3,000. Did I give the amount for the other? $20,000 for the first one? And then finally, the proposal to replace exterior double door in the gymnasium, steel painted doors with painted hardware, hold open closets, thresholds, weather stripping, and door sweeps. And that's $7,000, so this comes up to a total of $30,000. So, Patty, are you able to give us the amount, if we approve this tonight to $30,000, what we'll have to send back to, we
I'm
won't
figuring
use
close 12 to 15.
$1,000.
Yeah.
So, I've been on the phone with Jason, and he's gonna be coordinating with Karen and myself and Tom. We're gonna kind of have a three-way team here, so we're all in the loop, not just one person. So, let's have some discussion on this and hear what everybody has to say, and then I would ask for a motion that we approve this and get it to, Jason maybe tomorrow.
So you have to hit me.
Yeah.
Or using violence.
Brian, didn't you say you and JR could put the hole in the door wall and frame it up?
We could.
That'll save $3,000.
But here, let me just jump in there.
Well, okay, yeah.
We always just spend it because you guys are so darn busy anyway, and plus we gotta get that Murphy's basin done. I would probably say we have the, okay. So everybody heard that. I read it, it's on Patty's tape. If there's no questions, I'd like to have a motion that we go ahead and approve this change order to be notified, to Jason to notify him tomorrow. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom, and a second. Terry seconds it. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. We covered 326 Salisbury Street. New business announcements.
I have one question. So for unfinished business next month, we left off both agendas, the new email address and DocuSign status. Can we add that? And then for next month, and can we also add the all-call training unless that's been handled? So that,
All-call training.
so Bree is in a
Karen.
different building. Go ahead, Jeff.
Karen suggested that, we train you to do an all-call too, that you could do it from here in addition to the MMA.
That's all based off of Bree's database, isn't it? How would I do that from my computer?
I have no clue. Karen had suggested it, but
I don't know.
Because like Bree was off and she was out of town and had to come back in and set all that up. I mean, I think we need to, in an emergency, be able to send out an all-call.
I think what Patty's saying, I'm not sure if they can be linked or not.
Yeah, I don't know how, but if there's a way, then that would be fine with
If
me.
you guys remember, the authority, or the borough piggybacks off the authority for payment of the half, but officially, it shows up as being the authority's all-call. So I don't know how.
So we may need our own.
Yeah.
see, here's the thing. We're adding these things like with the website. And Patty asked for 3 months to get this website up. She had problems, she couldn't do it. Everybody sat here with their teeth in their mouth. Finally, thanks to Dan and his friend Sean, they were able to come and figure out what needed to be done. And like I said, I mean, we tell Patty to do this stuff, and then she gets stuck and asks for help 3 months, and she gets no help. I had to jump in and finish that job. thanks to Dan and Sean. So I'm just gonna throw that out there, that kind of, I think needed to be said. But let's,
We have to keep up
take
with
that
the
under,
times.
what is it?
We have to keep up with the times, Jeff.
Well, we do have to keep up with the
That's
times.
right.
You're right. But then we have to provide Patty with the instruction and the know-how to be able to do it, and not just say, do this, and then she asks for help, and nobody, the people who instituted the website, nothing after 3 months, and finally, Danny will tell you. I had to get involved, and it wasn't too long after that till we found people and we got it set up. So if you're gonna recommend something, then I think the individual needs to be responsible and follow it through, and not depend on somebody else to do it. So that's my 2 cents. Comments? Access to former MMA office and utilize space for record storage. So I guess this is kind of on hold. I mean, we're gonna see what the engineer comes up with, and ultimately, we're gonna have to prove anything that this engineer suggests, so.
The guy was in here from DAR, when looking at the windows and all. In my office, that stuff has to be moved, and they're gonna come in here sometime in August to put those windows in. So what am I to do? Truck it upstairs and then maybe bring it back down?
Can't you just move that stuff over temporarily to the other room? Or not you, I mean, Brian, let's say Patty has to lug it, but, I mean.
At least just get the stuff away from the windows.
And maybe cover it, just like put sheets and stuff over, cover it.
Cover it over, and then if it has to be moved later, we can move it later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would not do the upstairs, downstairs thing. That doesn't sound fun.
Brian, there's more work for you and JR.
Well, I can drag them over myself.
Don't worry.
I'll bring down your dolly and do it.
Okay, let's kind of, we're over the 2-hour mark here, and we have executive session.
I don't think call
If there's
coverage
no
is the dollar.
objection. I'm not sure what this is, under video surveillance signs for the playground, the security for playground. There are signs down
There
there.
are signs in the pavilion, and when the cameras were put up, they put signs on poles.
So we have those. Someone had questioned, I'm not sure who.
I have one thing on that.
Yes, sir.
If, I don't know what we do or how we do it, but if the older kids keep busting stuff up down there, we have to keep them out of there. We can't keep replacing stuff.
I agree.
So why don't you put an age limit
I
on the
mean,
sign?
a 17-year-old kid shouldn't be down there hanging out with a 6-year-old or playing in the playground with a 6-year-old anyway. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
It's not the 6-year-old that's busting up the equipment. It's the 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old.
There's a lot of places that have age, height, weight limits and
That
stuff.
are busting this equipment up.
Yeah,
Well, why
I
don't-
saw them throw that rock that night, and I sent you guys pictures of it.
Why don't we put on the agenda for next month, approve age limit around the playground area, the small area, however you want to say it, with the kiddie toys. However you want to,
I think I already have that in my sign package there.
There's some, and when the pirate ship was put up, there were actually stickers on there, the handicap chairs had stickers, and they all got destroyed, they got tore off.
Well, I think that's something, if we have police on in the evening, they should be watching
They
for
are, they're
that
chasing them out.
and get them out, but then they come back.
It
Why-
can't be everywhere, though.
So why don't you just approve signs that are the same or similar, if Brian remembers, to the ages that were already posted?
Can
We
we
don't
do
have to
that
have
tonight?
anything. Go ahead, yeah, amend the agenda, put it on. Well, it's actually already on the agenda, so. you're good.
Okay, Brian can't make the motion, Tom will make it,
Yeah, I already have the signs and the.
and Ron seconds it, that we replace the signs we did have as far as age restrictions at the playground area where the kiddies are. Is there a second? Okay, it was Tom and Ron, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, the bridge sign changes, is that taken care of, Ron? Okay. Tableland worker pay supplement, I would suggest, if we didn't decide on this already, we just give them $12 an hour. We pay 3, isn't that what we did last year, Patty? Is that what this is?
Yeah, like if the kids got $9, we gave them the $3.
Right, to make 12.
But I put that on there because I didn't know if you needed a motion to actually do that again this year.
Well, I would urge council that we do it the same as we did last year. Are you making a motion? Thank you, Karen. Terry, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Now, to hire this worker for the signs and maybe other things. So I guess if we want to just advertise that we're interested in, 35 hours a week?
Are you calling him a seasonal worker, or are we calling this person just an additional part-time worker?
I would call him, what's the advantage? I would probably
Hire
say seasonal.
additional summer worker is what it says.
Because seasonal is what we have, that's allowed under the CBA up till so many hours. But it depends on what kind of work you're looking for this person to continue
Signs,
doing.
mainly signs, possibly help with mowing. It doesn't matter to me who, but if we have somebody that wants to come back and work, has done a good job and is experienced.
Yeah.
What do you think, folks?
Yeah, seasonal sounds fine to me.
Okay, are you gonna make that motion, Tom, that we advertise for a seasonal worker?
Yes.
And I'd say at $12 an hour, like last year. Is it okay if I throw that in there in the motion?
And how many hours a week?
35.
You're gonna pay a kid 12.
35?
35.
Okay. And are you nodding a second?
Oh, what was the-
After your phone rang?
Brendan,
Hold on.
yeah, Brendan Campbell asked about coming back.
Oh, you can advertise.
Well, we'll have
Flyer
to
out.
put an admission,
Yeah.
you know, or an application rather. Okay, 1, 2.
Hold on. Were you saying a minimum of 4 hours a day?
No, we didn't say that.
Okay.
The signs.
Okay.
He said to dedicate 4
Okay.
hours a day to get the signs.
Okay.
In other words, you just don't come in and, okay, we're gonna work, and in 10 minutes, something else comes along to get these signs done. That's, Brian, your responsibility. You and your assistant, or whoever it is, we're gonna work from 8 till noon on signs. And I think before you know it, they'll all be out.
82 signs for the ATVs.
They should have a valid driver's license, though, right?
Yeah.
And how many do you have to put up, Tom?
We got all of
Sherman.
Salisbury Street
Salisbury
and Sherman Street.
But how many is it? 100?
There's probably 40 or 50 at least.
You mentioned the CBA, how many hours does the CBA cover for a seasonal worker?
720, wasn't it?
Is that 720?
Yeah, 720.
I was gonna say 675, because I have some CBAs going through my head, but I'm not 100% sure. If you think it's 720, that sounds
So you
about.
don't want to violate the CBA, you want to make sure that it's covered.
Yes, we want to be sure of that. There was a time when some of our employees weren't as borough, like these guys. I don't think we have an issue as far as, you know, they just, I mean, it's you need the help. RJ, he has no problem, JR, he has no problem. So we've kind of checked this ahead, to
You just
be
want to make
sure.
sure you don't violate the CBA because someone will complain about, or possibility of a complaint if you're violating the CBA. They have to meet the hours.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah, okay, we're gonna, public comment, it's over.
I'm sorry.
But I appreciate your input, we want to keep moving here. So we had the motion and that's been voted on, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, ambulance service, I think you want to
Just
put
real
that on
quick,
there.
just real quick, we had the distinct honor of being invited by the state officials out of Harrisburg to go to Hershey on May 7th to the PSAT's annual conference and speak about what we did in Meyersdale to get some funding for the ambulance service. We were one of 3 ambulance services in the state that were there to speak on a stage in front of about 400 people. So it was really nice to see Meyersdale lead, not follow, but lead.
We did vote on it, very proud.
About hiring, advertising for the additional summer worker guy.
Tom made the motion, Clarence seconded, maybe you didn't take a vote.
All those in favor say aye.
I have a purpose.
Opposed? That's unanimous. pay off Somerset Trust loan, the dump truck. How much do we have left on it, Patty?
As of the 13th, there was like $14,142.81. We budgeted to pay it off, but I wanted to make sure that that's what you wanted to do.
I just voted to approve it.
Could we have a motion?
Make a motion.
Thank you, Ron.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Tom. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. The flood control riprap, we've discussed
No,
that.
no, no, aye.
What I missed?
Finalization of.
Oh, okay.
agenda posting.
Fine.
Yeah,
You said it.
so we're not having workshops for the summer. Jeff wanted to, cancel those. And I'm just saying, can we have a draft for a day to review before they're finalized? Just, we're only meeting once a month. So just to make sure we're not missing anything with the sunshine law requirements.
To have a day, you're gonna have to, I guess, then have the, I can't remember what day that you need that back by, we would have to drag that back too, so it works, right?
Yeah,
How
when I
much
was-
time did you want, Karen?
Just a day.
Well, why don't, how long, and when do you have to post them? 24 hours ahead?
24 hours in advance.
So what about if you would give us the agenda
Like Thursday.
Thursday or Friday? And then, that would give council members a chance to review
Usually
it.
what I do would be have her post them on Friday rather than the Monday before.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why.
What day would
When
you,
Brooke was president, the deadline was Wednesday, to have your stuff in by Wednesday. So if you had whatever you wanted in by Wednesday, I could try to get it together and get it to you Thursday, and then post it Friday.
I would just like to see a draft of it, like on Thursday morning, we'd have the day to look it over, and then you could post them on Friday, if that's okay with everybody.
And Patty, I thought you put that on because of me not sending you stuff.
No, I didn't put it on, Karen wanted it on.
motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, and
Karen seconded.
Karen seconded, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, that is unanimous. Goals for the current year, the flood control riprap, we're working on that. We, I think I had received a call from Patrick from, the Army Corps, and we have been approved. I don't want to get into any numbers tonight, but for the erosion, portion of the lower part of the flood control that needs to be fixed, that's washing away pretty significantly. And according to Patrick, DEP has agreed to pay our 20%. So I don't want to mention any figures tonight because that's still up in the air. But, so I think that's pretty good news. The council members received an email. Patty put one together about a week or two ago, so we haven't gotten the documents yet. I hope we get them by our next meeting. Then we'll have maybe some more information to share on that. And additional items for discussion,
Do you want an update on the pro disposal dumpsters?
the what? Yes, please.
So I said Jeff is asking if we're paying for the pro disposal third and fourth dumpsters, which are now in place. He said, we spoke about that today, we are going to allocate discretionary funds to pay for it, just tell him we are taking steps to pay for it.
So they're gonna pay for all four of them.
They're taking steps to pay for it, so
Good.
it's very likely.
So that's good. And Patty, we made the motion, we're gonna try to keep them going. Patty suggested and make the motion through the end of the month, and then we can revisit it. So with that in mind, we've been going on for some time here. Could we have a motion to go into executive session at 9:17, Patty?
What time is breakfast in the morning?
I gotta be
Ron, and a second.
God bless you.
Tom, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. We are in executive session. I asked Patty, because of the nature of
Very
the
short
business,
bathroom break.
yeah, if anybody has to go to the bathroom, let's take a 5-minute.
Yeah, get to your.